So, welcome once again to the restarting of our Lime Vibe interviews. And today we have our esteemed friend from Trinidad and Tobago, a former regional journalist, a current regional journalist, Mr. Dillon De Shong. He
Yes,
works
thank
with Loop
you.
News. How you doing, Dylan?
I am fine. Well, I wouldn't say I work with Loop News. Last couple of weeks the company would have roundup operations, so I'm kind of like while I'm still on the books with Loop News, I'm kind of on the way out. So
Wow.
they will have shutdown operations. So um, I'm technically not part of Loop News
Okay.
anymore.
Sorry to hear that,
Yeah,
Dylan. Can you talk about
yeah.
it or no?
Not at this moment because
Okay.
I there are still some contractual things that still have to be wrapped up. But
Okay.
what I can say, I'm always grateful for the opportunity because when I started almost 6 years ago, I was at a stage in my career whereby like I wanted to do something different,
Mm-hmm.
and it came at a perfect opportunity, and it allowed me to not just explore the Caribbean, but also appreciate being a Caribbean person because I got to learn so much things about the islands that I wouldn't have learned in school, and I even got to visit a couple of them. Sadly, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
get to come to the Bahamas as yet, but
Yeah.
you know, all things in time.
Oh, okay. So we gotta get into your profession a little later, but tell me a bit about you, Dylan. Where were you born and where did you grow up?
Okay, so I was born in the capital city of Trinidad, Port of Spain, but I grew up in Maraval, which is a town on the outskirts of the city. It's probably like about a 15-minute drive, depending on
Mm-hmm.
the traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Yeah, so that's where I spent most of my time. And Maravan is one of those places. It's a melting pot. It's kind of like a reflection of Trinidad and Tobago.
Mm-hmm.
You can find almost anyone there.
Mm-hmm.
So it allowed me to have like a really multicultural experience.
So how was it? How was it really growing up?
Um, it was a really fun experience. Like having I have friends from multiple different ethnicities, races, religions. So like I always had an affinity and what's the word? And I got a really good cultural experience. I think I would have gotten a really a Trinidadian experience. I got to celebrate Eid, I got to celebrate Diwali. So I think if you, I'm not wouldn't say I'm an expert, but
Mm-hmm.
like I got knowledge of things that many people wouldn't even know because they weren't exposed to it. So I really
Yes, yes,
appreciated that
yes, yes.
exposure growing up.
Yes, yes, because the rest of the Caribbean, they don't have all of that multicultural ethnicity the way Trinidad has. Because you guys have Muslims, you have Hindus, you have Christians, you have
Mhm.
Indians, you have Syrians, you have Arabs, of course, you have
Yeah,
Creoles, right? So, I mean,
yeah, yeah.
how's the ethnic cohesion there in Trinidad? I heard it can get pretty testy every now and then. So, talk about it. Talk about
Yes, yes, it
it.
can be. I think usually you see it come out around election time
Mm,
because people tend to vote um, tribal as it relates. So people of Afro origins tend to vote for the PNM, which was the former government, and
mm,
people who are of Indian origin and who are also rural tend to vote for the UNC, which is the current government.
mm,
But
yeah.
I think the time where you see people come together is generally for the celebrations of our religious events. So for Christmas, you see Muslims celebrating Christmas, you see Hindus
Wow.
celebrating Christmas. For Diwali, you see non-Hindus celebrating it. For Eid, you see both Hindus and Christians coming together.
Hmm.
So even though I think David Weather has a song, "How We Vote is Not How We Party." That's one of his things. So like,
Yeah.
you know, regardless of what you would see people commenting on social media, like when it comes to partying, like all of the class and ethnicity and racial things just goes out of the way.
Mm. Well, speaking about party, I can tell you a very serious man because you spoke about the political and the cultural and the religious, but you didn't talk much about the partying, right? The carnival, and carnival is a big part of Trinidad, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But unfortunately, I have not participated in Carnival for like the last, well, minus only pandemic and about 4 years before that because I don't know. I kind of felt like it became repetitive and too commercialized. I feel like the people who created Carnival, which would be I wouldn't say created, but who um, made Carnival what it is and the celebration that it is have kind of been pushed out of it, and like everything feels like it's no longer for the masses. It's for that if you have money. But if you actually don't have money, you can't necessarily play in any of the bands because most of them are expensive. It's like about
Yes, 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 yes.
it can run you about like 1,000 or so US plus, and then they had already the Fed tickets and whatnot. And like the last 2 weeks of Carnival, it's generally for the foreigners. So
Oh wow.
the Feds are the prices are up. Um, I mean, of course, there are local people that go, but I think that it's no longer marketed towards us. It's more about attracting the foreigners who can come in and spend money and enjoy it.
Speaking of
Yeah,
that,
and even
the Bahamas has been trying to emulate Carnival as well. We have our own Carnival festival here too, and we started out about 6 years ago, I think. It's called the Junkanoo Carnival because we wanted to emulate what Trinidad was doing and what Brazil was doing, and how they were attracting all of the foreigners and the visitors into the carnival. And so we find that the prices there it's gotten commercial too. You know, it's something about it where it doesn't really resonate in the hearts of Bahamians because it's not really our festival. It's a
mhm.
Trinidadian and Brazilian festival. Our festival is Junkanoo. So I could feel what you're saying where it feels so contrived and it feels so commercial now because here
Yeah,
it started off being commercial, but you're saying it's getting
yeah.
that way in Trinidad now. And that's terrible,
No,
man.
it's already that way. It has been that way. I think if you minus the for the years of the pandemic, it's been that way since like about 2010.
Mm.
Like everything has become mass produced. We're seeing the traditional wire benders. No, they know very few carnival bands use traditional wire benders. They would send everything to China now, and mass produce it, bring it back here. So when I talk about the people getting pushed out, all of those things that you no longer see. It's very rare, and I say the colonizers have now recolonized carnival because when
Wow.
you look at the when you look at the people who are involved in carnival who are financing it, I think maybe 20, 50 years ago they would have turned up their nose at it, but now they're seeing that there's money to be made,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they are now taking it over and pushing out the people that made carnival what it is.
And they're taking away the spirit of Carnival, aren't they?
Yes,
You know, I've been
yes,
in contact with
yes,
one of your cultural artisans there, Mr. Rubadiri Victor.
yes,
Yeah, and
yes.
he makes a lot of those costumes as well. And that's just like straight across the board that people don't make the costumes the original way they used to make them anymore. I mean, how do you feel about
Mhm.
that?
Honestly, I feel sad about it because when I was a child growing up, like I couldn't wait to get older to go into Port of Spain and cross the stage and everything. And I had that experience once, and it didn't feel like it. I remember as a child, my uncle had took us to the savannah, and we went with a band and we crossed the stage, and I was excited. And then becoming an adult, crossing the stage, and I was like, hmm, this doesn't feel right.
Oh wow, my goodness. So I mean, at the end of the day, but people are still having fun though, right? I mean,
Yes, yes,
the main thing is that people come together and they enjoy their cultural heritage. And I think that's
yes,
important.
yes. Yes,
So,
yeah, that's the main thing. And I must say that even though it has lost that authenticity, like if you go into Port of Spain and or not even Port of Spain, if you go to any of the places where they have carnival, whether it's San Fernando, Paramin, Tobago, um, like you will have a good time. It's
mm,
not like you're not gonna have a not like you're not gonna have a good time. You're gonna enjoy yourself. But
mhm.
I feel like as somebody who would have experienced it from yesteryear and today, I feel like something is missing, and we really need to take a good look at it and get back that authenticity.
Wow, wow. So, what would be the first thing you do to inject the authenticity back into it?
Um, that's a tough question, but okay. So where I grew up in Marval, there's a place on the outskirts of it called Paramin. They have their traditional Monday night carnival. it's community. Like you don't have to pay any money, you don't have to know anybody. You can just show up and you'll make friends and you will party all night long into the day. So I feel like we need to bring back the community spirit, and the government and private sector need to also invest in that. And and of course, private sector people, when they spend money, they want to make an investment and they want to get a return on it.
Yes.
But I feel like not everything might be about dollars and cents. Some of the return you might get is that okay, people might go to a place and you will spend more money, or like you'll get more exposure and more people will be interested in it. So I think that's one of the things that I would do first. I feel like the government should Carnival Monday, which is traditionally one of the days we have Juve and stuff like that. I feel like that day should be reserved for the traditional mass, and more money should be put into sponsoring the traditional mass bands because they are dying out.
Yeah.
There
Wow.
now just a handful of them that still every year put out a promotion. So I feel like Carnival Monday should be reserved for them. And also I feel like for the band of the year competition, I feel like the prizes should be given to those bands that put a little bit more creativity into what they make and not just the bikini and beads. Because I went to one of the band lunches about 2 weeks ago, and I can tell you that it literally felt like a rehash of what I saw last year. Like nothing was spectacular, but of course, the people who are like the big fan girls of those bands, they would be like, "Oh, it's good, it's good, it's good," but
Yeah, yeah, I
it's
got you.
like so as somebody who doesn't have like a connection to them is like I've seen it when they're done that. I can tell you who designed which section, and it just seemed like it was a rehash of everything.
Gotcha. You think you have a listening ear with the current government? Do you think
No,
they need?
no, I am a nobody. I think
Kamala's
I'll
not
do
a
walk,
is not a carnival woman.
sorry.
Kamala's not a carnival woman.
No. Well, actually, I don't know. I can't say.
I know. Rowley was a carnival man. I saw pictures of him on
Yes,
Carnival March all the time, man.
yes.
Yeah,
He will. He. I think every year he would have participated in carnival,
yeah.
except maybe last year or the previous year. But yeah, he's somebody that you definitely see on the road for
Mm.
carnival.
I've heard from some Trinidadians, and they say that carnival really isn't for the upper class. It's really for just like the middle class and the lower class Trinidad. Is that so?
Well, from my perspective, I feel like it's more for the upper and middle now. You necessarily won't see somebody who is on the lower rungs of society playing
Yeah.
unless they go take out a loan, which is something people do. They take on loans to play carnival.
Mm.
Um, but you would more see them like selling at the side of the street trying to make an income. But
Mm.
carnival is no longer for the poor; it's for the rich.
Wow, for the rich. Wow. I got you, man. But I guess things change, and hopefully they'll get back to the spirit, of carnival because carnival is needed in
Yeah.
the region, man. Like I said, we've
Yes.
we've tried to import carnival over here to the Bahamas. We've never traditionally done carnival, and so we've started having carnival festivals during the middle of the summer, which has nothing to do with Easter and Good Friday and things of that nature. So I
Mhm,
mean,
mhm.
and that's how it is.
Yeah.
And speaking of the government, though, you have a new government now. Kamala's back. How does that make you feel?
To be honest, okay. I'm trying not to get in trouble. um, I I don't feel any type of way because I mean governments change. As somebody who works in the media is like, you know, it's just you have to work with a new deck of cards kind of thing. But
Mm.
um, I saw that people were said that the loss of the former government was unexpected, and I was like, no. If
Wow.
you had listened to the word on the ground, it was like, yeah. And
Anybody can
for
say that.
me, like for me, I felt like the then prime minister he kind of made a bit of a mistake calling the election like 2 or 3 days after he was sworn in as prime minister. That people were he didn't give the people an opportunity to get to know him and get to see what he would have done, and there was a whole bunch of controversy with how he
Yeah.
became prime minister. So
Yeah. He was
um,
still young.
yeah, but I am looking forward, and my hope is that this government delivers on all of its promises that it would have made to the people. Because every year we've had governments make promises and they it never materializes. And
Mm.
I think a lot of people are hopeful because Trinidad has its problems right now in terms of its economic problems, its problems with crime, So I really hope that the government does take decisive action to address some of the things that have been plaguing our society, and a lot of them have not been addressed for the past, I don't know, maybe 20 plus years. Because I always say that the people who are, a lot of the things that are allowed to continue, only when it's not beneficial to the people that make money off of it, it's when it's fixed. We have issues with the healthcare system, and it's unfortunate that we sometimes see people who run private hospitals given seats on state board, and it's like, why would you put somebody who has an insurance company or who has a private healthcare company to basically operate something that goes against the thing that they make money from? So, my hope is that you don't see a repeat of these things happen, that the people that are put in place, they do the right thing. Recently, we had a judgment where a law, so already judge had said that people who are appointed to state boards shouldn't be a rubber stamp to the directives of the minister and the ministry, that they have a fiduciary responsibility to ensure that they operate in a way that is protective of the taxpayers. So I feel like the people who ever are given opportunities to serve on state boards, that they take heed of that judgment and realize that they are there to do a job. At the end of it, put your political affiliation aside and just realize that you are not there to serve Party X or Party Y, but you're there to serve the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, I got you. That makes sense, Dillon. That makes sense. But you have an experienced leader back in charge, man. Kamala's been there before. So hopefully she sees her past mistakes and she will correct them, right?
Yes. That was something that she said in, I think it was her first speech as when she was sworn in as Prime Minister, where she told a lot of her leaders that the cabinet didn't know before and the cabinet now are two different people, and if they breach the trust that they have, justice would be swift. So so far we have not necessarily had any big corruption scandals like what plagued her last government.
It's only been
not yet, yeah, a few months. So we haven't seen any of that at the time, and our government is kind of doing like a kind of anti-corruption thing whereby they are going after, let's say, some of the corrupt contracts that would have been awarded under the last government. And a lot of workers also are being sent home in some ways. That we have this thing called
the CPAP,
the unemployment CPAP and ERP. So so I'm feeling it for the average worker, because at the end of the day, they didn't necessarily take part in the corruption. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but they are the lower rung of the pay scale, so they're the ones that are affected. But I really,
they only want to go. They're not involved in corruption. They only want to work and take care of their families.
Yeah. So I really appreciate that she's trying to weed out that, because it's hundreds of millions of dollars being spent, and I mean, in some ways you're not seeing where the money is going.
I got you. From my personal experience, when we talk about government ministries and expenditure, I find that at least up to 60, maybe even 75% of all the money that goes into a public agency goes towards salaries. Is that the same case in Trinidad?
Yeah. It's a big chunk of the money that they spend. From our budget, recurrent expenditure, which includes salaries and stuff, is like a big portion of the budget. Very, very little of it goes into towards investment. I think most of the times when we have big investments, it comes from loans that the government will take out to build stuff.
I got you. Makes sense. Well, I wish you all the best with Kamala, man. With Kamala, I mean, she's been there before. One thing that struck me when she was in there the first time was, I think she was the minister for the people, right? She had
no. She created a ministry called the Ministry of the People and Social Development.
Okay. And she was the minister in charge of that, wasn't she?
No, she wasn't. She only had her ministerial responsibilities as Prime Minister.
Okay, I got you. Okay, so I was wrong. Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Well then, but you seem to be covering Trinidad and Tobago pretty well. You pretty much summed up exactly what happened in the last 6 months in Trinidad and Tobago. The only thing that you didn't touch on was this new prime ministerial pension bill that they
Yes.
blocked Stuart Young from it. That was pretty cool, wasn't it? Pretty
to be
cool.
honest, to be honest, I in some ways agree with setting up provisions for that people can get a whoever becomes prime minister gets a remuneration package because again speaking for me, I feel like it's unfair that okay somebody just serve okay this is nothing to do with Stuart Young by the way. Um, I'm just speaking
Oh,
from
good for him,
a
by the way.
general perspective, yeah, that if somebody who served as prime minister for a day, I think it's unfair that I could just come to the office today and decide, okay, this work is too hard for me, I'm gone, and then I get let me see, it's 87,000 Trinidad dollars, which is about 10,000 plus US per month.
Hmm.
For the rest of my life, I think it's unfair that that is the case.
Mm.
But in some ways, I agree with the government that setting up time slots that if you serve 1 year, you get a quarter, 2 years, half, 3 years, three quarter, 4 years, you get the full prime minister pension. I think that it makes it kind of equitable because, for example, we have a thing called NIS, National Insurance. I'm not sure how much it is,
Yeah, but
but
Stuart
it's
gets
a
nothing
it,
though.
no, but he will get it if when he does retire, he will get his MP
Yeah, monthly
salary.
salary, right?
Yeah,
Not
and
salary.
even that has like time frame. So
Okay.
to qualify for the MP salary, I think you have to serve a full parliamentary term, which is 5 years.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would agree that there was a need to bring the prime minister's pension in line with that.
Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So Kamala wasn't being vindictive.
I mean, well, people looking at the ground would say, well, I would say supporters of the PNM would say it's a bit vindictive, but
Mm.
I think for me, speaking from a personal point of view as a regular citizen,
Mm.
not journalist or anything, I would agree with putting those safeguards in place. That at least somebody kind of just come in and be prime minister for one day, realize, yeah, that's not what I want to do,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and I think that the government should have taken a step further in that
Wow.
they should have set up that okay, it's not a full life payment. Maybe I would give you like if you serve as prime minister for 5 years,
Mm.
I think you should get it for additional 5 years. If you serve as prime minister for 10, you get it for an additional 10. After the 10 years, like okay, bye. You get your MP salary and keep it pushing.
Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense, man. But speaking of you being a journalist, what are some of the hard issues you've been covering? Because you said you work for Loop, and Loop is a regional news organization. So, what are some of the hard button issues that you've run across in your experience? First of all, tell me how long you've been in media and how did you get involved in media?
Okay, so I have been working in media since 2013, so that's about 12 years. It
Mm-hmm.
was March of 2013 I started as an intern at a radio station, which was my
Mm-hmm.
first step into media. And after that, I worked at the radio station for like 3 months without
Mm-hmm.
pay because I really wanted to learn
Wow.
the craft and
Okay.
everything. And then one day, my then I think he was a station manager at the time, and there was another guy, the CEO, and they were like, "What are you doing here?" So I was like, "Well, I come here. I want to learn a little bit more." And they were like, "You doing this for free?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so I think about a week later, they offered me a contract,
Mm-hmm.
and I started working from there. And then eventually, I went from just reporting to I had my editor at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Produce a radio program. Then one day the station manager was like, "Listen, you need to come and read on air." And I was like, "What?"
Wow.
So I went on air. I remember going into the studio the first time and sitting there, and he played the music for the newscast,
Mm-hmm.
and I opened my mouth and nothing came out.
Oh, wow.
so then
What's
he,
up?
so then yeah, then he set it up and he's like, "Dylan, speak," and I was like, "I can't speak. I don't know what to say."
Wow.
so well, so I stopped and I went out the studio. Luckily, one of the more senior reporters was there, and she came in and she did it. And after, she was like, "Dylan, you have to kind of man up." So I was like, "Okay, I'll do the next one."
She told you to
And
man
then
up
I
as
went
well.
in. Yeah, I sat. I spent the next hour memorizing that script, and I went in. My station manager every time was like, "Look at me." So I was like, "Okay." I looked at him, and that he was the only person I focused on, and I did the newscast. And after I was like, "Why was I afraid?" It was pretty easy, and then from there, like I just loved news, and what made me want to do journalism. I would have seen the coverage that Christian Amanpour would have done at the
Yes.
Bosnian War,
Yes.
and watching TV. I never missed the newscast. I just loved watching all of the lights and everything, and it would me getting into media was a bit of a shock for some people because anyone who knows me know that I am pretty shy.
Mm.
I I would go into a room and I would just find a quiet corner and sit there.
Yeah.
But I think when I have to do my job, it's like a different person just takes over and I
Yes.
become somebody else. So that's kind of where I got my start. I worked in radio up until 2019, and then Loop was like my first, I would say, print slash electronic job, and I worked there for 6 years. I started with myself and three other people. We were the first that started their regional desk. So they had Loop, Barbados, Haiti, Trinidad, Jamaica, St. Lucia, and then they decided that they wanted to do like a regional desk to cover all of the all the countries that they didn't have a market in.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started there, and we came basically with our laptops, and we had the support of the parent company, and then we created something, and within a year, like, we became an authority for news in the Caribbean, and that's something that I was really happy for. I remember getting excited when we saw the first click on a story that wasn't one of us clicking on it and seeing stories go from getting like 10 views to like hundreds of thousands of views. I remember there was one story we did. It was regarding, I think it was during the pandemic. It went to like 100,000 views
Wow.
at one story, and for 1 month that was like the biggest story we had. So seeing the growth of it was like really, 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 really something that I mean, thinking about it now, it brings back good memories.
That's amazing, man. So, did you sell own Loop, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Loop was turned into an authority, man. I mean, it was like it just came out of nowhere. There
Yeah.
weren't very many regional news organizations aside from, let's say, Caribbean News now,
Yeah.
Loop, and Caribbean.
Kana.
Yeah, kind of, right. And Loop just took everyone's attention, man. It was really good that it just
Yeah.
came out of nowhere. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
man. So, you didn't
It's so
really.
happy that
Go ahead.
I'm so happy that I was able to, put in the work to become and go up against, those big established media houses, because people used to, in Trinidad, people didn't really have a love for Loop.
Mm,
I wouldn't say, sorry, let me rephrase that. Not necessarily people, but like the traditional media. Some of them kind of see that as like a joke. So to go into the regional media landscape and become that authority, it was like, who's laughing now?
it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. Right. So, essentially, you didn't really stumble in the media. You wanted to go in the media.
Yes,
Okay.
I wanted to. I had, okay, so I had 4 career choices that I wanted to do. Media was the first one. The second one was a vet. The third one was a lawyer, and I wanted to do human resources. I just liked the way it sounded. So when I applied to university and I got my acceptance letter and it said journalism, I was like, yeah.
Okay. That sounds good, man. That sounds good. So, I mean, what are some of the hot issues that you've covered? Some of the stories that stuck out in your mind in the region?
Um, some of the stories that stuck out with me. The Guyana election of 2020. That was the first big story that we had. Thinking about it, it still gives me nightmares.
What happened?
Having to spend like 6 months covering the election, because even though it happened in I think it was in March or February. No, was it March? Yeah, March. The result didn't come until August, and every day was, as we would say in Trinidad, a different bacchanal. So, the government at the time was kind of trying to steal the election.
That was Granger.
And yeah, Granger. So And to this day, like they never really admitted that they lost.
Yeah.
Even they even tried to make it seem that the current government were the ones that tried to rig the election.
Mm.
So it was crazy.
Yeah.
I remember the day that I left Guyana, which was I think that was like 2 days after the election, and there was all of the protests and everything, and I left, and then I had to. When I landed in Trinidad again, like I left it kind of calm, and then within the hour it took to fly from Guyana to Trinidad, and I checked my phone, and I was like, people were burning stuff, so I had to like start typing. So it was really interesting. I was so happy for a result
That
after like
election
I
was
could
high
have
stakes, man.
slept.
That
Yes,
election
it
in Guyana was
was.
high stakes, man. It was oil, and then Granger was kind of acting kind of loopy, like he didn't know what to do with the oil resources. And then,
Yeah,
of course,
yeah,
you had now the governing side, which was then the opposition side. You had Barack Jack Deo, the lion of
yeah,
Guyana, who came back as well.
yeah.
He's the vice president now, isn't he?
Right, yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
They say he's the real power behind the throne. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
To be honest, I could see where people would have gotten that because from the little interactions I would have had with some of the government people, it always seemed um, like he was the one calling the shots, and then as President Ali would have started to find his footing, he tried his best to kind of show that no, I am the man in charge, kind of thing.
mm,
And um, I think now those whispers have kind of died down a bit because he has had an opportunity to show that hey, I am really the one in charge and not Jack. There's not the case of two presidents.
yeah. But that's the thing, though. I mean, at the end of the day, you have Dr. Ali, going around the region talking about agriculture, right? Meanwhile, Jack Day is the one who everyone comes to when they have to deal with the oil situation. So, I mean,
Yes.
when you weigh the importance of the
Yeah.
issues, I mean, it looks like Dr. Ali is really a subordinate
Not
to Jack Day.
yes. Yes. I can definitely see where people would have think because even um, President Ali, he's not someone who gives a lot of like press interviews. I feel like he's very strategic with who he speaks to and when he speaks to. Meanwhile, Jack Neo has a press conference every week,
Yeah,
so the media
yeah.
gets an opportunity to
To see he's in
press him for
charge, right?
questions. Yeah, and he generally, if you ask him, because I would have said questions to him, if you ask him about anything, he seems very aware of what's
Yes.
going on in from the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs to the
Hmm.
Ministry of Mines. He knows everything. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's yeah,
Yeah, you could trust Jack Day because he's been there before, man. And actually,
yeah.
he was there for two straight terms, wasn't he? When he was
Um,
president the last time, yeah.
I think he was there for 2 straight terms, and he also filled in when Janet Reagan would have died.
Yes, yeah, right,
When
right, right, right,
so,
right, right. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So he really is
yeah.
the power behind the throne. I mean, no disrespect to Dr. Ali, and we love him because Dr. Ali is very respected around the region. Don't get me wrong, but it's just that
Hmm.
it's kind of obvious, Jack Day will release the power behind the throne there. So
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
like so that's one of the issues that you've discovered. One of the hot, good stories that you chunked into there, Dylan. Anything else you really
Yes.
that sticks out to mind that you covered around the
Um,
region?
Going to Grenada to cover their 50th independence anniversary was something that I really enjoyed because the Prime Minister of Grenada, he is one of the younger leaders that we have in the region. So to
Yes.
see how people loved him, and it's not like a fake love, it's a genuine thing. If you speak to anyone on the streets, how you feel about the Prime Minister, most of what they say it's generally positive. It's not
Yeah.
anything. I mean, of course there will be the negative stuff, but it's generally a positive thing. I don't know
Like John
if
Mitchell,
it
right?
has. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if would have changed within the last year or two, but this, when I was there, that was the thing. And to see the patriotism of Grenadians,
Hmm.
it was really, really, really interesting. And the stories that I would have gotten, speaking with a guy who was at the first independence parade, hearing his story, um, meeting the governor general of Grenada,
Hmm.
speaking to her, meeting the former prime minister, Maurice Marshall's wife, speaking to her, and that's a big topic in Grenada. What happened to his body, and the stuff how he
Oh
was
yes, yes, yes,
killed, and
yes,
so
yes.
that was something that really Really,
I don't think
really
we'll ever get
that
the truth out
optimism.
of that, man, Dylan.
Nope, I don't think we'll ever find out.
The
Yeah.
only person who may know is the previous Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Mitchell,
Mm-hmm.
who, who I felt was in power too long. And that was the reason why they were so inviting to Deacon Mitchell in the first place, the current Prime Minister. And Deacon Mitchell really is a breath of fresh air, isn't he, right? I mean, he's
Yeah,
brand
yeah, he
new, he's
is.
young, he's a look towards a brighter future for Grenada. Whereas Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Keith Mitchell, he's been there for a while, he's steady hand. But you know something, Dr. Mitchell did bring Grenada out of some real perilous times when he took over from the Tillman Thomas administration.
Yeah,
Yeah, because Grenada was at the point where it was tanking, man. They needed IMF intervention. Dr. Mitchell came back there and he stabilized the country and he got them back to some sort of economic, path and trajectory forward. Whereas now Deacon Mitchell now he really represents the future, and I like that for Grenada. It's a
sure.
real
Yeah,
difference. I like the
yeah,
way he's transferred. So Dylan, any final
yeah.
thoughts you have, man? You can share with us.
Oh, I just want to touch on that thing you mentioned with Deacon Mitchell and the previous Prime Minister of Grenada.
Dr.
I
Mitchell.
think that, Dr. Mitchell, yes, that, our regional leaders need to know when it's time to go home, when it's time to give it up.
Yes.
Because, we seen that in Trinidad here with Kamala, whereby she wants to run for Prime Minister, wants to run for leader of her party again, which is an indication that she would want to run for Prime Minister in 2030. I
Mm-hmm.
think in 2030 she might be in her 80s.
Yes.
And it's like, you're 80 something years old. I mean, no, not to age shame anyone, but it's time to give someone another opportunity. And I think that's a really big problem we have in the Caribbean. That regional leaders need to know when it's time to give somebody else a chance.
Well, I've heard, man, Dylan, man, you don't really you take power. Power isn't given to you. So if no one's able to stand up strong and take it from her, then what do you want her to do? I mean, I was kind of shocked. She kind of stood on there for so long as the leader of the opposition, because there's no way after she's lost twice in a row that there was no other
Hmm.
leadership quality or contenders within inside the UNC who could have taken the leadership of the UNC from her, and that was kind of shocking to
Yeah,
me. But no one gives you power; you have to take it, and no one's willing to
yeah,
take the power away
indeed.
from her. And so, if no one's willing to take the power, then let her be.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, Dillon De Shong, thank you so much for joining us here for a Lime Vibe Live interview. This is your host, Yori Camp, and we'll see you again on another Lime Vibe interview. Hopefully, you'll be back, Dylan.
Yes, hopefully. And no, if you ever want me back, just reach out.
Yeah, we'll do. Thank you so much, Dylan. I really appreciate it, man.
No problem.
Goodbye. Yes, sir.
Okay, bye.